Have you ever wondered why fate decreed that you were born in a particular month and not another? At first glance, it might seem like a simple coincidence, but according to Jung, the renowned 20th century psychologist, the month of birth is a symbol full of deeply hidden meanings. It's as if it reflects the energy with which the soul enters this world, beginning its life journey. Some are born with the makings of a sage, others a warrior, and still others a healer. Each month is like a mirror reflecting our true essence. And when we become aware of this hidden symbol of our birth month, we have the opportunity to decipher many deep aspects of our personality, from emotions and behavior to the lessons we repeat throughout our lives. If you share the belief that each person is a unique entity on the path to self-discovery and enlightenment, then let's embark together on a fascinating journey into the depths of the soul's map to unlock its secrets. What awaits us? What discoveries will we make? Get ready, it's going to be interesting. January, a time of silent sages and unbending personalities. January marks not only the beginning of a new year, but also the start of a deep inner journey. People born in this month often possess a special aura that sets them apart from the crowd. They are distinguished by their balance, wisdom beyond their years, and a hidden inner strength that not everyone can discern at first meeting. What does this mysterious aura hold? What secrets do those born in January conceal? The answers to these questions await us, so stay tuned. According to Carl Jung's deep conviction, the month of birth is not just a formal date on the calendar, but a kind of spiritual tuning fork that sets a certain life rhythm. And January in this context appears as a melody of silence, deep self-analysis, and wisdom honed by the passage of time. The author knew a person, barely over the age of 40, whose birthday fell on the third day of the Lunar New Year. He was not particularly talkative, avoided noisy companies, but it was to him that people invariably turned for valuable advice. He never flaunted his wisdom, but every statement he made caused the interlocutor to delve into deep thought. People like him don't need to raise their voices to make themselves heard. It is their imperturbable calm that sets them apart against the backdrop of a society that is becoming increasingly noisy and restless. People born under the sign of January are often associated with the image of a wise elder, an archetype that embodies steadfastness, discipline, and foresight. They do not strive for instant triumph, preferring to move slowly but surely, methodically laying a solid foundation for their lives. This is also a category of people with enviable endurance, adhering to certain principles but not ossified in their conservatism, and especially able to control themselves in moments of emotional upheaval. However, their outstanding qualities sometimes turn into a source of loneliness. Relying too much on reason, they often suppress their feelings, preferring the inner world to active interaction with others. They are attentive to other people's problems, but rarely share their own experiences. Perhaps life circumstances forced them to mature early, and since then they have become accustomed to relying only on themselves. The main task for those born in January is to learn to moderate their inner strictness. It is important to remember that wisdom does not always require seriousness, and deep truths can be revealed through laughter and joyful moments of everyday life. By allowing themselves to relax, be spontaneous, and open up to new opportunities, they not only rediscover the taste of life, but also inspire others. The essence of the lesson for January personalities lies not in the constant striving for more, but in the ability to let go of control and trust the natural course of events. They have enough strength and seriousness, and now it's time to learn to show tenderness. January souls, you do not need laurels and honors to confirm your significance. Your very existence, modest but unwavering, is already a priceless gift to this world. You are the guardians of the hearth, virtuosos of endurance, a quiet haven for those who are desperately searching for themselves in the hustle and bustle. February dreams, subverters of patterns. If January appears before us in the image of a silent thinker, then February is a time of silent but turbulent inner life. Like ice and snow that imperceptibly dissolve into the earth, February children carry a unique energy. They don't follow the beaten track. They are difficult to predict, and that is where their exclusivity lies. As Carl Jung once noted, there is an unexplored depth in each of us, and those born in February are living proof of that. They harbor the makings of a pioneer, a visionary, a rebel with lofty aspirations who rejects outdated dogmas. They tirelessly seek opportunities to view the world from a fresh perspective, whether in their professional lives, personal relationships, or the depths of their own being. The author recently had the opportunity to speak with a young woman whose birthday falls in February. She left university before completing her third year, choosing the thorny path of a painter over academic pursuits. This decision, to put it mildly, was unconventional, sparking outrage within her family and a wave of gossip in her community. However, against all expectations, she became the owner of a cozy art studio a few years later, and, by her own admission, found true happiness. When asked what gave her the courage to defy public opinion, she replied with a disarming smile, "I simply cannot live in disharmony with myself." People born in February typically possess a deep inner world, heightened sensitivity, and well-developed intuition. They often sense events in advance, as if gifted with foresight. This feeling of being one step ahead often leads to a sense of alienation and misunderstanding from those around them. Within these individuals, a powerful current of energy flows, both creative and rebellious. If this energy is not channeled constructively, it can manifest as feelings of loss, disorientation, and inexplicable sadness. They need an atmosphere of freedom, the support of like-minded individuals who accept them as they are, and most importantly, the right to be different. People born in February face a challenging but interesting task. They must learn to harmoniously blend their lofty ideals with often prosaic reality. Possessing breadth of thought and a penchant for large-scale projects, they sometimes struggle to transform their grand ideas into concrete, practically feasible steps. February-born individuals are prone to becoming engrossed in dreams, losing touch with reality, or, conversely, falling into disillusionment when faced with the imperfections of the surrounding world, which may seem far removed from their ideals. In this regard, the key lesson for them is to maintain the ability to soar while remaining grounded in reality. It is important to remember that while striving for great heights, one must stand firmly on the earth. The uniqueness of people born in February lies in their distinctiveness. They are called upon to forge new, uncharted paths, inspiring those mired in routine and outdated stereotypes. February people are a symbol of change, which occurs not through loud pronouncements and populist slogans, but through their quiet yet palpable influence on those around them. If you are fortunate enough to be born in February, remember that your exceptionality is not a burden, but a valuable gift that you can share with the world. The world needs people like you to become more multifaceted, vibrant, and authentic. Boldly follow your path, even if it seems thorny and bumpy, because this path is meant for you alone. The following month, March, symbolizes rebirth after the winter night. March is not a boisterous and bustling month, but an undeniable month of nature's awakening, when the branches of trees, as if after a long winter slumber, begin to reach for the light. People born in March carry a special energy of renewal, as if their souls have just emerged from darkness into light. They do not rush into this world, but enter it with deep understanding, carrying emotions through life like polished crystals from past lives. As Carl Jung once observed, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. March people grasp this truth intuitively. They do not run from sorrow and do not fear silence. They enter life with a soul like a deep stream, which seems calm but hides invisible inner currents. The author encountered a young woman born in early March who, while outwardly fragile and taciturn, possessed the gift of touching readers' hearts with her words. She said, "I write not for praise, but because I cannot keep everything inside." This is the essence of March people, They live through emotions, but do not wallow in self-pity. They are sensitive, but not weak. Psychologically, March people symbolize rebirth. They are like a person who has experienced loss, loneliness, or an internal crisis, but has become more resilient, wiser, and compassionate as a result. Individuals born under the sign of March often show a keen interest in spiritual practices, the world of art, meditative techniques, and other areas that allow them to understand the innermost depths of human nature. To those around them, they may sometimes appear somewhat detached from everyday reality, but in truth, they are connected to a different reality, the reality of the soul, filled with subtle vibrations and deep experiences. However, the main challenge for those born in March is overcoming the blurring of personal boundaries. With heightened sensitivity, they easily absorb negative energy flows from others and dissolve into other people's emotional states. They need to develop skills to protect their inner world, building indestructible barriers between sincere compassion and self-destructive altruism. They should also be cautious about their tendency to escape reality by immersing themselves in daydreams, creative pursuits, or even melancholy. Their life lesson is not to suppress emotions, but to direct their energy into constructive actions and solutions. People born in March typically find their calling in fields related to healing, caring for others, teaching, or the arts, where they can establish a deep emotional connection with others. If your birthday is in March, remember that you don't need to conform to generally accepted standards and templates. Your unique charm lies in your sincere soul vibration, in your unique ability to penetrate the essence of things that go unnoticed by others. You may seem weak and defenseless, but sometimes you are destined to be the only one who dares to enter a raging emotional storm, and then lead others from the darkness of despair to the light of hope. Each of us is, to some extent, a creator of change, but there are people whose nature seems specially created for this role. They may feel a little out of place in this world, but their presence is especially valuable. They are like beacons, reminding us that true light is born in moments of overcoming the darkest depths of the soul. April is the month of awakening nature, when trees, as if reaching for the sky, come to life under the warm rays of the sun. People born during this period possess explosive energy and courage that motivates them to action. They don't wait for the right moment. They create opportunities themselves. In psychology, April is associated with the image of a warrior, a pioneer, a person who is not afraid of difficulties and trials. April natures are characterized by openness and directness in expressing their feelings. Sometimes their directness can surprise or even hurt others, although there is no malicious intent behind it. The blood of those who strive for results, crave change, and want to leave their mark on history flows through their veins. They do not tolerate hesitation, and especially cannot stand stagnation. I recall an incident with my brother, born on April 4th, who always took the initiative in group projects while he was still in school. He didn't wait for others to start acting because, in his words, he hated the feeling of immobility. Later, when he started his own business, he also took the initial risks without hesitation, and it was this quality that turned him into a driving force for the entire team. The famous psychologist Jung argued that a certain archetype of behavior is embedded in each individual, and a person born in April embodies the symbol of will, perseverance, and innovation. However, like any archetype, the image of a warrior has its positive and negative sides. In their best form, these people become inspiring pioneers, like a flame that ignites energy in the hearts of others. But when their shadow side comes to the surface, they can be quick-tempered, hasty, and act rashly. The main task for those born in April is not to start, but to know when to stop, to learn to observe before acting, and to listen rather than always being ahead. Often it is their impatience that causes unnecessary offense both to themselves and to others. In addition, they often find it difficult to maintain long-term projects, as the initial enthusiasm can quickly fade, giving way to a new passion. This is an important lesson. The ability to start successfully is certainly a gift, but the ability to maintain and improve what has been started is a sign of mature wisdom. For people whose birthday is in April, it is extremely important to cultivate patience in themselves, not just as a means of postponing things, but as a way of treating their own development and the natural course of events with care. They have every chance to become outstanding leaders, but for this they need to curb their ego and insatiable desire for total control, replacing them with unwavering faith in the potential of others. The ability to step aside in time allows the inner fire not only to illuminate the horizons, but also to warm those who walk hand in hand with them. For April birthdays, remember that true strength lies not in unconditional leadership, but in the art of self-mastery. The inner flame can both create and destroy. It all depends on the ability to control it. Their destiny is to initiate action, but it is equally important to learn the lesson of harmony between a fervent heart and a sober mind. They are warriors of life, and sometimes the most significant victory is not triumph over an external enemy, but the taming of their own impatience, selfishness, and internal fears. Having won this victory, they will transform from ordinary initiators into architects of the future, capable of changing the world for the better. May is the time when spring reaches its peak, when the foliage on the trees acquires a rich, emerald hue, flowers delight the eye with their variety of colors, and nature seems to freeze in a state of harmony and serenity. It is not surprising that people born during this period are often endowed with similar character traits. They are distinguished by thoroughness, unhurriedness, an ability to appreciate the simple joys of life, and a deep connection with the material world. These people are not prone to fuss and the pursuit of fleeting trends, preferring to live consciously, fully experiencing every moment and putting their soul into every detail. As Carl Jung noted, the formation of the surrounding space is a reflection of the inner world of a person, and May children intuitively understand this relationship. They value stability, gravitate towards natural beauty, and possess a pronounced desire to create things that will serve faithfully for many years. In the family circle, they usually act as keepers of peace and balance. In the professional field, they show enviable patience and perseverance, remaining unperturbed in the face of difficulties. The author recalls a friend born in May who was not talkative, but approached everything he did, whether it was work or personal life, with exceptional attention and care. He could spend hours restoring an old item instead of buying a new one, not out of considerations of economy, but out of the conviction that everything deserves careful handling and preservation. Sometimes there is an impression that these people are somewhat slow, but in reality they exist at a more measured pace, where each of their decisions is deeply rooted. In psychological terms, a person born in May appears as a creator, building something durable, as a guardian of foundations and a faithful adherent of fundamental values. They are not attracted to the role of everyone's favorite, they do not strive for dazzling success, but they are a reliable support for others. In love relationships, they are a model of an ideal partner, devoted, attentive, affectionate, but at the same time possessing an unbending will. However, it is this craving for constancy that can become their Achilles heel. May people are at risk of getting bogged down in routine, in monotonous repetition bordering on boredom, or experiencing fear of change. They may desperately cling to outdated relationships, a boring job, or entrenched habits simply because the familiar environment gives them a sense of security. But as the insightful Jung once remarked, no personal growth occurs in the comfort zone. The main lesson that those born in May should learn is the ability to find a balance between preservation and liberation. Of course, there are things that need to be protected, but sometimes you need to be brave enough to let them go. They need to learn to leave their cozy zone to make sure that they are not only able to create, but also know how to adapt to new conditions and rebuild their lives when it becomes necessary. For those who saw the light in May, the source of their strength lies not in speed or ostentatious brilliance, but in unwavering consistency, genuine honesty, and deep sincerity. These are personalities with the gift of transforming the ordinary into the beautiful, and in a world where everything is subject to speed, they serve as a precious reminder that a leisurely and conscious way of life is still a manifestation of true courage. They are creators of a solid foundation. They do not have to be at the top, but it is thanks to their efforts that everything that is on top gains stability and reliability, and this is by no means an insignificant achievement. June is the month when nature makes a smooth transition from spring to bright summer. People born during this period often represent an amazing balance. They are both innocent and profound, energetic and calm. These are personalities at the junction of two worlds, between the past and the future, between stability and a thirst for new discoveries. The famous psychologist Jung called them seekers, symbolizing their constant striving for knowledge and the search for their own truth. People of June, as a rule, have high intelligence, but not in a strict academic sense. They excel at forging connections between people, ideas, and diverse systems. They are natural mediators, capable of understanding different perspectives and uniting them. These individuals possess a unique, multifaceted perception, allowing them to notice nuances that escape the attention of most. One person, born on June 12th and working in communications, demonstrated a deep knowledge of religion, spirituality, psychology, and even technology. He expressed a desire for comprehensive understanding in order to find common ground between different fields of knowledge. This reflects the characteristic spirit of June, a harmonious blend of intellect and emotion, external activity and inner peace. Their psychological archetype is the seeker of light, a person who does not accept superficial definitions and stereotypes. Unquenchable curiosity and openness to new knowledge are their distinctive features. The world for them is a boundless treasure trove, requiring constant exploration, and that includes people. It is not easy to deceive them, as they have the ability to see hidden motives and intentions. However, they are also strangers to despair, as they believe that with effort, understanding can be achieved. With a broad outlook and deep perception, those born in June are often prone to distractions. Many interests, questions, and opportunities capture their attention, which can lead to difficulties in choosing a priority direction. They find it difficult to decide where to start their journey. June natures are endowed with the potential for an exciting life start, but there is a risk of deviating from the intended course halfway through, or they may become mired in reflection, losing sight of practical steps. They face the challenge of focusing on something specific, delving into depth, instead of superficially gliding through various fields of knowledge. It is important to develop perseverance without losing breadth of views. It should be realized that, although studying the world around us is certainly valuable, self-knowledge is even more important. People born in June have a natural gift for communication, education, creativity, and even healing through the word. They easily establish contact with others, influencing not by force, but by sincerity. They are attentive listeners, able to ask leading questions, and teachers who never recognize themselves as such. If your birthday falls in June, it is important to remember that you do not have to know all the answers to live a full life. Natural curiosity is a guiding star that will light the way if you learn to awaken it in silence, rather than searching everywhere. Sometimes, the long-awaited discovery lies not in the unknown distances, but in the very question that a person carefully keeps in the depths of their consciousness. It is enough to pause for a moment in the hustle and bustle of days and listen to the voice of your heart to realize the true path is the one that an individual is ready to follow with an open heart and a clear understanding. June is the month when nature makes a smooth transition from spring bloom to sultry summer. People born in this period often represent an amazing combination of opposites: innocence and deep thoughtfulness, energy and composure. They seem to be on the border of two worlds, between the past and the future, between reliability and a thirst for new discoveries. The great psychologist Jung called such people seekers, a symbol of the eternal journey in which the constant search for answers leads to the comprehension of personal truth. June children, as a rule, are distinguished by a sharp mind, but their intellect is manifested not so much in a strict academic form, but in the ability to establish connections between people, unite ideas, and integrate them into various systems. They are natural mediators, able to understand and reconcile different points of view. Possessing a multifaceted perception, they show special insight, noticing what escapes the attention of others. The author knew a person born on June 12th who, working in the field of communications, demonstrated deep knowledge in religion, spirituality, psychology, and even technology. He expressed a desire not to limit himself to a narrow specialization, but to comprehend the diversity of the world in order to identify the relationships between different fields of knowledge. This statement reflects the very essence of people born in June, a harmonious combination of intellectual abilities and emotional perception, the unity of external and internal worlds. Their psychological archetype is an unquenchable seeker of truth, a person who does not accept superficial judgments and ready-made answers. They are distinguished by unbridled curiosity and are always open to new knowledge and impressions. The world appears to them as an inexhaustible treasure trove that needs to be explored, and people are no exception. They are not easy to mislead because they have the ability to recognize hidden motives and intentions, but they are also alien to despair because they believe that by making extra efforts, they will be able to comprehend the truth. However, with a broad outlook and deep emotional intelligence, people born in June are often prone to distraction. They have many interests, countless questions, and an inexhaustible desire to discover new horizons, which sometimes leads to indecision in choosing a priority direction. They may enthusiastically start a promising business, but without achieving the goal, switch to something else, or they may delve too deeply into reflection, neglecting practical actions. Their main task is to focus on one thing in order to thoroughly study it, instead of superficially gliding over various areas of knowledge, not lingering long enough to take root and achieve significant results. People born in June need to develop perseverance without losing their sincerity and openness to the world. It is important to realize that knowing the world is certainly valuable, but self-knowledge is even more important. June natives are endowed with a natural gift for communication, learning, creativity, and even healing with words. They easily establish contact with others, and their secret lies not in power or influence, but in sincerity and the ability to listen. These people have a unique ability to ask the right questions and act as mentors, never positioning themselves as all-knowing teachers. If you were born in June, remember that you don't have to know all the answers to live a full life. Your unquenchable thirst for knowledge is the guiding light that will show you the right path if you learn to kindle it in silence rather than looking for it everywhere. Sometimes what you are looking for is not on the horizon of new discoveries, but in the question that you have been carrying within yourself for a long time, and it is enough to stop and listen to your heart, as you will understand that the surest path is the one you are willing to take consciously. July natives are keepers of the home and possessors of a caring heart. July, located in the very heart of the hot summer, carries a special energy, warmth, cordiality, and deep attachment to the concept of home, both in the direct and figurative sense. People born in this month usually live for others, for family, for unity. They carry the symbol of a caring person, a keeper of the hearth, and that is why they become the soul of any small community they enter. Jung once said, "Maturity is not the pursuit of fame, but the ability to care for the most vulnerable part inside each person." People born in July do not strive for loud success. They often live quietly, attentively, and with great delicacy in every action. They know how to listen, to feel small changes in the emotions of other people, even to feel what has not yet been said. I remember a woman born in July. She was the mother of one of my friends. She did not receive higher education. She did not know how to speak eloquently, but the whole neighborhood knew her as the keeper of the warmth of every home. Anyone who had sad news turned to her. She cooked food for anyone who was experiencing difficulties. She didn't need theories. She practiced love every day, and it was the nature of a person born in this month. To love with action, to care without showing off. People born in July are associated with the image of a patron, deeply understanding that true strength lies not in power, but in unobtrusive support and care. Often they act as parents, older brothers or sisters, putting the interests of loved ones above their own. Their lives are permeated with feelings, and it is this heartiness that makes them vulnerable, but at the same time is the source of their extraordinary strength. However, the main danger for those born in July does not come from outside, but from within. Their boundless love and willingness to sacrifice themselves can lead to them forgetting about their own needs and desires, giving up personal happiness for the sake of satisfying others. They are ready to take on all the burdens just so that no one is upset, but over time, such self-sacrifice inevitably leads to exhaustion, which accumulates gradually and can break through unexpectedly for everyone. The most important lesson for those born in July is that love for others should not mean forgetting oneself. They need to learn to set boundaries, to be able to gently refuse and accept help, instead of always being the one who helps. They must realize that their tireless care for others will only be truly sustainable when they themselves receive the necessary support and attention. Individuals born in July often possess a special talent in fields related to education, therapy, nurturing, and caregiving. These are ideal environments where they can connect deeply through emotions and genuine empathy. They don't seek external flashiness, but simply need a quiet space to sow seeds of love and then patiently watch them grow each day. If you were born in July, remember that you don't have to be perfect to deserve love. You are worthy of love even when you feel weak, tired, or imperfect. The world needs people like you, not because you are always strong, but because you remind everyone of the kindness, care, and lasting connections that society is gradually forgetting. You don't need to be the brightest flame, just keep warming and caring, and you will be a small light illuminating the room of cold souls. August is the month of those who lead with inner strength. It's a time when the sun reaches its peak of brilliance, trees flourish, life is vibrant, and the air seems to be filled with faith, vitality, and pride. People born during this period possess a special magnetism like monarchs, but not necessarily rulers. Rather, they are those who shape the reality around them. Carl Jung called this the archetype of the inner leader, a personality whose presence is so significant that it doesn't need loud pronouncements to attract attention. August-born individuals have exceptional clarity about themselves. They have a clear understanding of their own identity, desires, and values that are non-negotiable. They may not be as extravagant as those born in April, nor as profound as those born in March, but they are distinguished by an unwavering resilience like a mountain range. They radiate calm and confidence, inspiring others by the very way they live their lives. I knew a person born in mid-August who dedicated themselves to working in community development. They never sought leadership positions, but invariably found themselves where crises arose. Without pursuing power, they nevertheless enjoyed universal trust. When I asked them about the secret to such trust, they only smiled mysteriously. I just listen as if everyone has something important to share. This is the essence of an August-born person, a leader who doesn't need a throne, but only a heart large enough to embrace others. Individuals born in August often exude a calm demeanor, a steady gaze, a warm voice, and a natural charm that encourages others to trust and follow. In the workplace, they serve as the link between team members, making quick decisions while ensuring careful consideration. In the family, they are a solid support, a shade of protection for loved ones. However, like any symbol of strength, August-born people also face the dark side of arrogance. When they cannot control their ego, they easily fall into a state of complacency, believing that they are always right and must be the leader. They may feel deeply disappointed if others do not understand or follow their opinions. This can lead to authoritarianism, isolation, and difficulty in sharing responsibility, because they believe that only they are capable of doing the job well. The most important lesson for those born in August is that true strength lies in humility. The stronger they are, the more they need to learn to be gentle and flexible. The better they are at making decisions, the more they need to listen to and understand the opinions of others. They don't need to try to prove themselves, because true light always shines from within, without any embellishment or ostentation. People born in August are particularly well suited for leadership, consulting, coaching, or any field that requires a combination of strategic vision and deep concern for people. They possess both a clear head and a warm heart. When they live true to their noble qualities, they become teachers without lesson plans, guides without maps, inspiring and guiding those around them. For those who cry out to welcome the world in August, remember in your heart that your mission is not a copy of anyone else. You are the shining star of your own universe, not to impose, but to spread light. The world does not expect you to be perfect, but only to be consistent with your inherent vision, compassion, and integrity. You are a natural leader, not because of your ability to command, but because of the inspiration you ignite in others to reach a better version of themselves. That is the greatest power, the power of a steadfast soul, understanding itself and not needing any proof. September arrives and perfectionists begin their journey to find order in a chaotic world. As autumn comes, the cool breezes blow, the sunlight is gentle, pale yellow, and more subdued. Everything slows down to look at the results that have been cultivated throughout the summer. Individuals born in this month often possess remarkable qualities: sharp analytical thinking, a desire for perfection, and a longing to create order in a chaotic world. They are talented architects, constructing structures for their minds and their lives. People born in September are characterized by their commitment to principles, a desire for clarity, and a dislike of uncertainty. They feel secure when everything is in its place. This isn't about a manic need for control, but rather a search for harmony through order in a changing world. They can be compared to chess players who gather scattered pieces and patiently seek the right place for each element of the world around them. An example is a colleague born in early September who always carries a notebook, meticulously recording every detail of her work. In situations where the entire team is confused and doesn't know where to start, she takes the initiative, breaking the problem down into parts, prioritizing, and helping everyone calm down. Once she was asked if she was tired of constantly playing the role of cleaner. She replied that when everything is in order, it's easier for her to breathe. The symbol of people born in September is the analyst who sheds light on the obscure, separating the outer shell to penetrate the deep structure. They are not easily swayed by emotions. They believe in logic, evidence, and honed intuition. They are sought after for rational advice, trusted as teachers because they teach with precision and patience. However, the desire to achieve absolute perfection can become a yoke that binds the souls of these individuals. People born in September often fall into a cycle of self-criticism, always feeling that they are not good enough or finding it difficult to accept randomness, the imperfections that exist in themselves and those around them. They risk losing joy on the path to achieving their goals because they focus too much on minor mistakes or are obsessed with the feeling of having to do better. The most profound lesson for those born in September is to learn to let go of the need to always be right, always be perfect. The beauty of life lies not in completeness but in constant movement. True freedom comes only when we learn to forgive mistakes, both our own and those of others. And it's okay if a soul isn't completely tidy, as long as love dwells there. People born in September are particularly well suited for careers that require meticulousness, accuracy, and a systematic approach such as event planning, scientific research, content editing, education, or healthcare. In places where precision is needed, they will have the opportunity to shine brightly. However, in addition to pursuing work efficiency, they also need to create space to learn to relax, to realize that sometimes spontaneity can bring magical and unexpected things. People born in September possess a unique ability for meticulousness and attention to detail, which allows them to notice the smallest flaws. However, this ability is given to them not for condemnation, but for healing. When they learn to look at the world with compassion rather than criticism, they not only achieve excellence in their work, but also enrich their souls. They don't need to fix everything around them to deserve love. It's enough to realize that the most valuable thing they can do is be sincere, not strive for the ideal. In a world full of falsehood, it is their sincere heart and insightful gaze that become a priceless gift to others. October people are creators of harmony, able to find balance between opposites. October, a time of wonderful change of seasons, when foliage changes its color, the air becomes fresh, and nature slows its rhythm in anticipation of cold days, endows those born in this month with a special energy of harmony and sophistication. They strive for unity, not division, avoid extremes, and do not alienate those around them. Living in the golden mean, they try to listen to all sides, striving for understanding and resolution of any conflicts. Carl Jung aptly called such people the archetype of the diplomat, building bridges between disparate souls. Those born in October avoid disputes and sharp contrasts in relationships, tirelessly striving for harmony between reason and feelings, action and contemplation, personal and public. It is this desire for balance that makes them so attractive, inspires trust, and turns them into a spiritual support for many. The author recalls a friend who was born on October the 10th. In conflict situations, she never took anyone's side, not because of a lack of her own position, but because of her ability to see the truth in every point of view. "I think everyone has their own reason," she would say. "If we show enough patience to listen, we can understand, not defeat." This pacifying quality has made them indispensable in the team, a heart setting the rhythm. October people possess a heightened sense of beauty, appreciating not only external aesthetics but also harmony and deep connections in relationships. They are distinguished by their refined taste and sensitivity to art, color palettes, music, and spatial organization. They exude tranquility with their very presence, creating an atmosphere of peace that is not ostentatious or forced, but spreads naturally and effortlessly. However, the downside of this congeniality is a tendency to avoid conflict to the point where October individuals may lose their personal identity. Sometimes the fear of upsetting others overshadows the question of "what about me?" They may choose silence to preserve a calm atmosphere, readily yielding to keep a smile on the other person's face, but over time that silence creates a vast emptiness in their soul. They inadvertently trade external agreement for deep internal losses. The sincere advice for those born in October is to bravely learn to express their thoughts and feelings gently but firmly. Avoiding conflict does not always equate to genuine love. Sometimes, truly loving someone means daring to confront them, overcoming challenges together to grow. True harmony does not arise from absolute silence, but from the ability to speak at the right time, with the right attitude, and from a heart full of compassion. With their refined aesthetic sense and exceptional ability to connect with people, October individuals are particularly well suited for fields such as art, diplomacy, psychology, design, or any profession that requires sensitivity and understanding. They have the potential to become talented mediators, deep listeners, and bringers of gentle light to soothe the hidden corners of life. For those born under the sign of October, communication is not just a skill, it's a true gift that opens doors to hearts and minds. However, before diving into the ocean of communication, it's important to establish a strong connection with oneself, to hear the echo of one's own inner voice. When an October-born person finds the courage to stand up for their beliefs, their voice does not become a dissonance in the overall symphony of life, but, on the contrary, serves as the foundation for a harmony of a higher order, a harmony that is mature, realistic, and sustainable. They possess a unique ability to unite people, smooth out rough edges, and find common ground between different worldviews. But before taking on the role of healer of souls, it's necessary to return to one's roots, listen to oneself, and ask key questions. For whom do I live? What do I really want to preserve in this world? Once the answers are found, the harmony they bring to the world will no longer be just a mask concealing internal contradictions, but will become a genuine light emanating from the heart itself. This light is capable of illuminating the path for others and inspiring them to seek their own truth. November is the month when those who decipher the mysteries of darkness and are reborn from within are born. In November, the heavens seem to descend lower, the air becomes cooler, the days rapidly shorten, and the night gloom seems ready to engulf everything around. For many, this time of year becomes a period of despondency and apathy, but for those born in November, it is a season of transformation, symbolic death, and quiet rebirth. They carry within them the archetype of the inner alchemist, a person who dares to descend into the darkness to find true light there. As Carl Jung emphasized, wholeness is not achieved by avoiding the shadow, but by embracing it. And this statement perfectly reflects the essence of those born in November. They are not afraid of strong emotions, do not fear facing the dark side of their personality, and do not avoid the harsh realities of life. People born in November possess amazing depth and seem mysterious, but this is not a desire for concealment but an awareness that silence is necessary to preserve inner peace. One of the students, born in late November, was taciturn but always came to the aid of those in need. When asked about the reason for this behavior, he replied that he knew what it was like when there was no one around. This short phrase, like a blow to the heart, struck with its depth and sincerity. November people have a unique ability to feel what others are trying to hide. They are able to read the energy of emotions, to foresee collapse, even if a person has not yet realized it. That is why they often include psychologists, therapists, artists, and those who dedicate themselves to healing from darkness. However, the downside of such deep sensitivity is emotional overload. November people may carry a burden of sorrows that are difficult to name. They are prone to obsession, isolation, and withdrawal if they cannot find someone who understands their inner world. Some become suspicious and controlling, fearing betrayal and pain as they have experienced it in the past. The most valuable lesson for individuals born in November is to be brave enough to expose the hidden corners of their soul. Only when light shines into the dark areas can the healing process truly begin. Don't consider sensitivity a sign of weakness, but rather evidence of inner strength. The ability to face pain head-on and use it to support others is what truly matters. People born in November are not suited for superficial roles. They crave depth, seeking environments where they can delve to the root of the problem, whether in art, psychotherapy, or scientific research. They did not come into this world to live a superficial life, but were born to delve into the essence, to transform and regenerate themselves and those around them. If you were born in November, be proud that you are the bravest, not because you have never known fear, but because you persevere, even when your heart carries thousands of nameless wounds. The world needs people like you to remind us that even in the darkest darkness, light can still arise if we are brave enough to stay with ourselves. December, the last month of the year, is a time when life slows down. Lights are lit more often, and people immerse themselves in reflections, summaries, and reviews of the journey they have taken. December brings the image of a spiritual teacher with a timeless gaze, seeing through the past, present, and future. People who are fortunate enough to be born in this month radiate a unique aura. Their appearance reflects the peace of a traveler who has seen distant lands, the depth of wisdom characteristic of those who have lived more than one life, and an amazing optimism, as if all the roads of the future are open to them. They exemplify a spiritual mentor whose life is dedicated to the knowledge and dissemination of the light of wisdom in the world. The famous psychologist Carl Jung called such people keepers of secret knowledge, those who, while among us, always direct a part of their soul to the higher spheres. People of December care little about the little things and everyday squabbles. They perceive life as a fascinating journey, and each person as a soul learning their lesson. I happen to know a doctor born on October 21st. Despite working in a field where everything is subject to strict logic and practicality, he skillfully combined modern methods of treatment with meditation and psychology. He once said, "I treat not only the body but also the soul. After all, if there is no peace in the soul, no medicine will bring lasting relief." This is the essence of a person born in December. They do not just exist, but look at life with the breadth and humanity that only a select few possess. Individuals born in this month often possess a harmonious combination of sharp intellect and keen intuition. They are not only capable of analyzing problems logically and systematically, but also believe in the hunches that come from the depths of their souls. In other words, they are both talented strategic thinkers, always looking far ahead, and romantic dreamers, soaring in the world of ideas. One interesting thing about these people is that they always retain a childlike innocence and brightness in their souls, even after experiencing countless ups and downs and upheavals in life. This is not naivety or foolishness, but a strong belief in kindness, in the goodness of people, in the continuous development of the soul. However, because they possess a far-sighted vision, always aiming for great things, people born in December sometimes have difficulty finding close, intimate connections with those around them. They may be considered floaters, unrealistic, or distant, difficult to approach. They can easily feel lonely and out of place in ordinary crowds because their souls are not suited for the petty and mundane. When they are not understood and shared with, they tend to withdraw into their own world where there is only vast knowledge, deep philosophies, and constant internal dialogues. The biggest challenge for people born in December is to turn profound knowledge into practical action, to turn deep understanding into a useful presence in life. They need to learn to live fully in reality, to stand firmly on the ground instead of floating in ideal notions. Sometimes what others really need is not a profound lecture or wise advice, but just a sympathetic look, a simple, sincere act from the heart. People born in December possess a unique mindset, making them ideal candidates for work in education, philosophy, psychological counseling, spiritual arts, and any other field where they can deeply inspire others. They don't just impart knowledge with words, but also serve as an example through their way of life. If you were born in December, it is important to remember that you are a link between the past and the future, between reality and the ideal. There is no need to chase after the world. It is enough to delve into your inner world, because the light you carry will illuminate the path for others, even if you don't display it. You are a storyteller of the soul, a guardian of the rhythm of awakening. When you live in harmony with your nature, you not only complete the year, but also open doors to understanding, compassion, and guidance that the world so desperately needs.